Hey guys, we got fresh new merch right off the press. Check it out at wretchedclothing.com. What is happening, people? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. On today's episode, we're going to go over this rear brake, and we've got a little surprise for the front brake. But first, coffee. So what we're going to talk about and what we're going to do is we're going to put a bracket on that I had made. Here's a copy of it. So we're going to put a bracket on to mount the rear master cylinder, and we're going to put this RCS 19 on the front. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a lot of talk on the interwebs about how awesome this master cylinder really is. I have yet to try it on a Harley Davidson. I have yet to use it on these stock Harley Davidson calipers. These calipers are going to remain stock. The brake line is going to remain stock. Pretty much everything's going to remain stock except the master cylinder. That's all we're going to replace today. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to lose the hand guards because I don't have a way to mount them with this master cylinder. And then we've got some little brackets that I got made for that guy. So first, we went from this piece of flat steel. I had a vague idea of the general shape that I wanted to see. Kind of looks like a gun. Anyways, there's this kind of the overall shape I wanted to see. I needed some spacing. Obviously, we don't need something flat. So I sent that concept over to a gentleman at Blue Coast Precision, and he printed me this. Looks awesome. I was excited. We test fit that. Everything looked gold. So we got it made. Now we get to mount this, and we're going to find out what it looks like and how well it works. And then once I do this, we'll cover all this, because I realized, guys, in the first video I cut it. Bad editing, my mistake, no excuses. But this is where I put the reservoir for now. I'm going to leave it here for now. I would like to utilize a round, something similar to this. This is going to go up on the handbrake, but I'm going to use something similar to that, and we're going to mount it off the fuel tank point here, and we'll just run the hose straight down to here. I am not there yet today, guys. Today we're going to test fit this bracket. We're going to make sure that everything here fits and works and functions properly, and then this is just whatever. We can move this, and we can do whatever we want with that. That's the beautiful thing. So with that being said, let's get into removing this. Let's get this bracket mounted. I'm real excited to check this out. I got any coffee left? Got a little bit left. So let's finish this coffee and get this bracket on. I'm going to try to set you guys up real close here. So I'm going to do my best to do this. I realized in one of my last videos, my shoulder got in the way. It's not my proudest. Currently, I'm going to remove this. We're going to remove the master cylinder. We're going to kind of let it hang out of the way. And then we'll unbolt this bracket. And this bracket's actually going to bolt over here. You'll see once we get the plate off. But it'll all make sense. At least it should. Truth be told, I don't even think these are like tight. That nut's off. That didn't take much. Those bolts were... Oh. Those bolts were barely on there. Okay, so we'll get those out of the way. I'll let that hang there for un momento. Oops. Sorry, guys. Knocked you around. Anyways, I'm sure you heard all these spacers fall. We used quite a bit of spacers for fitment. So now, See these two holes here? These are the holes we want to utilize. So this should bolt up here, and then that will bolt to that. Does that make sense now, guys? I think it does. I hope it does. If it doesn't, to heck with you. Alright, so we need a little bit more bolt than that, huh? So we went ahead and got it mounted. I apologize, I mounted it off camera. You really didn't miss anything. I promise you, it was pretty straightforward. This is it. So this is what we did, guys. So we took concept. The concept originally was, does a universal master cylinder do better? Does it work a lot better on a stock rear caliper than the stock master cylinder? And the answer to that question is an emphatic yes. With that answer, I had a concept on how to mount it. We went from a piece of steel with a bunch of holes in it that don't mean anything, and a bunch of spacers and random bolts, to a piece of paper that I thought would be a decent shape, to a 3D print, and then to the final piece. So that is how concept becomes reality, guys. This is where the rear reservoir is, and this is where the master cylinder is. Some of you might wonder what this spring is. That's a return spring, because this will float up a little bit in the wind. Also, I don't know if you guys can notice, you may not on the camera, but this is a little bit low from what I'm used to. But we have this rod here that we can turn, and I don't know if you could see that, but I'm turning this. We're making an adjustment, and the pedal is slowly going up. So I'm gonna set you guys down. I'm gonna get this pedal adjusted to the height that I want. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that jam nut in here. So we're gonna turn this adjuster rod, which will push this back, which will raise the height of the pedal. So let me get that done real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll get working on the front master cylinder. Super excited for this one. Alright guys, so now it's the front master cylinder. Again, this is my favorite part. I'm excited for this. So currently what we have the stock master cylinder up here. Everything for the most part up here is stock, except for the clamp. What we're going to do, I'm going to have to remove this. We're going to take the brake line off, screw the brake line into here. But first things first on that, we're going to undo the master cylinder, and we're going to set that down on the side. Then we're going to mount this. We're going to mount this to the handlebar. Then we'll undo the brake line from the master cylinder here and transfer it to this one. We'll minimize our fluid loss during that moment in time. We'll get the reservoir mounted with some hose to the master cylinder, and then we'll pump it up. I think, obviously, we're going to lose this clamp. I know this. We're going to lose this master cylinder. I believe we're going to lose this for now. I'm going to come up with a way to mount that back. Once I get all this mounted, we'll figure it out. But, yeah, how about I just stop talking? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. First things first. Let's get this off. If you've got a tank protector at home, put it on. If you don't, use a towel or a blanket that you don't really care about. Just something to protect the paint in case you drop a screw or a washer or a bolt, or you happen to dribble a little bit of .4, because that is caustic to paint. You don't want it to ruin your paint. So, as we covered a few minutes ago, we're just going to take this off. We're going to lay it to the side here. I guess now is as good of time as any to tell you that this master cylinder will have to be, the brake light switch anyways, will have to be wired in. It's definitely going to have to be a one-off custom. It is not going to just bolt up. What do we think, guys? This sucks. Here's my bleeder. Here's this. This is lame, huh? For where we are? I mean, what do we do? What shall we do, guys? This is chintzy. Very, very chintzy. It looks like I need to find another bracket. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put it on pause here for a moment. I'm trying to find another little piece because, yeah, that's all they gave me. That's all this came with was this. This is not going to cut it. Alright, let's put a pin in it. We'll be right back. For those of you that forget, it is Florida. It's raining. I had to bring everything in. So here's what I'm doing to catch you guys up. I've got some... Man, this is really ugly is what I got going on. But I'm not going for style points at this very moment. Currently, kind of like the rear, we're going to go for proof of concept. We want to make it work. Want to see it work in the world before I go making things. I will make a bracket for this master cylinder at some point, but again, not there. Right now, today, we just want to make it work. This is really chintzy. This is literally the bracket off of my Grom. I just stole it so I can make this work. We make this work nice, we'll make a nice pretty bracket. But for now, this is what we've got. If you guys notice, I'm sure you do, currently it's looking like this might work okay. There's a whole bunch of mess around this thing. But now we're just going to put a little hose from there to there. I think I've got some tube over here. At least I hope I've got some tube over here. Wouldn't that be a bummer, guys, if I was like, hey, I got tube over here, and then I don't have tube over here? No. No, I don't want to use that. Uh-oh. Here comes the rain again. Awesome sauce. All this rain makes the audio wonderful, guys. Boom. Let's cut it right there. Let's cut it right there, guys. Let's hope we just got that right, because I'm going to say we got that right. Cool. There we go. Now what we've got to do is we're going to separate the brake line, guys. And if we do this right, you know, I say this now, like, if we do this right. You know what I didn't pay attention to? Is the fact that the brake line is jacked. I don't think it's gonna reach. We might have to do some creative rerouting, ladies and germs. I'm thinking that this guy's gonna have to get bent to the inside and then mounted that way. Oh, that's gonna look horrible. It really is, guys. That's gonna look horrible. You can tell this is just, we're literally, we're doing it together. You know, f***ing around and finding out. So I'm thinking that this will go this way. But I also think that this should go through here. I don't believe this will fit. Nope. You know, it's one of those things you gotta do, you gotta try. Okay, let's do it. What we're gonna do, we're gonna pull that out. I'm just gonna screw it into the bottom of this. Who is excited and ready for that? I mean, I am. Anybody else? So we're gonna do our best not to make a mess. Remember, it's .4. I don't know if you guys can hear me through the rain. This is not the ideal time to do this because it's a very wet environment. But here we are nonetheless. Yes, well, I know this looks ugly, guys. Nobody said it didn't. We're only doing this using the stock stuff. This is by no means the best time to be doing this. Look at this rain. We're just gonna sit here and pump this up. I mean, we already got pressure. I got pressure right there, so really shouldn't take a ton more. All right, so after all that work, there it is. That is on and mounted. I don't have a way to put my mirror on, so know this, guys. If you decide to do this yourself, there is no mirror mount that comes with this. You'll have to manufacture your own or come up with some way to do it if you care to have a mirror on this side. Personally, I do. So I will have to come up with a way to mount a mirror. Now the fun part is, how do we make the brake light work? Mounting all this stuff is cool. There it is, it's cool. It's on. Wasn't too difficult. Alright guys, so we definitely ran into an issue very quickly. So the brake light switch, traditional switch here, 2-wire system. Honestly, I don't know if this switch is on closed or on open. I don't honestly know. Right now it doesn't really matter. Fact is, this ribbon is the brake light switch wires. That doesn't do us any good. I really don't know how to overcome this. I'm gonna have to do some research. Good transition. I hope that worked for you. So this is T25. Don't know if that's really relevant. Just letting you know. T25. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this cover off. The reason we're pulling this off, here's my switch wire. This wire comes from the micro switch that's already installed onto the Brembo master cylinder. What my intention is, for those of you that are wondering what it is I'm going to do, my intention, I'm going to move the switch pack wiring out of the way for the moment. What I intend to do is run wire through here. I'm going to pick up a hot wire. Well, you know what? Let's back up. First things first. We want to determine, is this a normally opened or normally closed switch? What we mean by that is, with the brake sitting closed, is the switch closed or is the switch open? So there's a very easy way to find out. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to do my best to prop this up here. so that we can all see what it is I'm doing. So we're going to flip our meter over to ohms. For those of you that don't know what ohms is, it kind of looks like the omega sign. So now that we're flipped over to the omega sign, let's see if you guys can see that. Can we all see this? I realize there's a glare. I'll do my best to work around the glare. So currently we're open line. What that means is there's a break in the wire if we close the circuit. So we have 0.2, maybe 0.3 ohms resistance in these cables. We don't really care. That's not what we're measuring right now. What we want to know is the switch open? Right now the wires are open. So we want to see if we get open line now. So what we'll do is we'll touch these out here so that we're not touching the metal. We don't want any part of our skin touching the metal. Now, since we know that we're touching, I wonder if we can all see this. So currently we're touching and we're open line. Now I'm going to push the lever with my elbow. When I push the lever, look at that. We have power, or we have a closed circuit, meaning power can go all the way through. Switch, let go, it's open. Pull the lever in, we activate the switch. So this is exactly what I want. If you guys can tell, I dismantled my stock brake switch, and it is in here. It is sitting right there. But I took all the parts and pieces off of it so that it doesn't function anymore. And the reason I did that was because I don't want to cut into this ribbon wire. There are plenty of people that have said you can cut into this ribbon wire. And yes, I do believe I can cut into this ribbon wire. And I do feel like I could probably get it to work. But the truth is, I don't want to cut into the ribbon wire. It's just not something that excites me. It's not an idea I want to do. It's not an idea that fills me with joy. So I'm going to run the power, separate power. We're going to steal power, and we're going to make it work ourselves. I'll show you how it's done. So let me show you what we're doing here, what I'm doing before we get too far. I'm going to go ahead and continue doing what I'm doing, but I do want to show you what it is I'm doing before I get it all done and tucked away. So if you notice in here, guys, there's two T-taps. What a T-tap is, for those of you that don't know, this is what it looks like. What it does is it goes on the wire. The wire goes in here into this little slot here, and then this gets folded over and smashed. And when you smash that, you push the wire inside this blade. The wire touches the blade becomes electrified. And because the blade has this piece sticking out, that goes to this. That goes to the spade terminal. And then the spade slides on, and it slides in between there, if you can see that, and everything becomes electrified. So what we did was we installed two T-taps. Typically, I would use a double spade, because you can put a spade right here, and then you can just plug that in, and you can plug another one in. But unfortunately, Discount Auto nor AutoZone, neither one had any double spades. So I had to pick up T-taps. So for this, I'm going to T-tap these. I've got insulation. We're going to run this insulation through the wires. We're going to run the wires all the way up. I'm going to go through the handlebars, up through the handlebars, and then I'm going to attach to these. And we're going to make our switch work. Now that I've explained it, I'm going to go ahead and do it, make it work, and we'll come back once it's all together. So this is what I want you guys to notice. Now that we've got all this cleaned up, and this is tucked into the handlebar, we only have this much wire hanging out. Now that we're not using the rear brake switch, we have a big hole in the back of our switch box cover. So when we put this on, the connector will actually come out of this hole. Let me rig this camera up just a moment, and I'll show you what's happening. Okay, so that's going to go through the hole. We're going to snap our cover back on. I say snap, but we're going to put it back on. Tighten up our cover. I'll show you how clean this actually works out, guys. So I know when we started this was all like, of course I know it can be done, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. And as I think I said this earlier, it's not always can you do it, it's how easily is it done, how much does it cost, and then is it worth it in the end? So now that we've got this connected, I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but we're going to connect this. I don't know if you guys happen to hear that snap. So now that we've got all that together, bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to try something here. This can be routed a few ways. You're going to want to put it together and figure it out on your own. Depends on what you've got in here. Like I said, I removed my brake switch, the plastic part with the spring assembly. I took that out. I took that out because I wanted more room. So if you notice now, guys, I have this connector is actually keeping the switch pack from falling off, which is nice. Wouldn't you agree? Kind of holds it into place there. So what I'm going to do is put my connector on this side. Like I said, you can route these however you want. I suggest that you play around with it a minute and figure out what's going to fit best and what you think looks best. These definitely are not going to just fit no trouble. You're going to have to play around with it. Remember, you've entered the world of custom at this point. There is no, there's no manual for this stuff. There's no how-to. There's no book. Well, I guess we're kind of doing a how-to. But there's no book, guys. There's no reference material for this. If anything, we're creating it right here, right now. And I don't even know if it's very good, like, reference material. Truth be told. So you want to, like I said, you want to be careful when you put all this back together. You definitely don't want to smash anything so that it doesn't work. You're going to always check your wires as you're tightening. Tighten the top. And if you notice that your wire's a little taut in an area, well, back it up. Back it up. You don't want it to get, you don't want anything to get ruined. And you don't want to break a wire, and you don't want to crush your stuff, because then you just made more work for yourself. After you trying to make something cool, you end up making work. Nobody wants that. So now, guys, I think I'm happy. Can anybody tell that my brake light switch works now? Can you guys see that on the wall? Back there. Boom. Turn signal and brake light. Look at that. So there you go, guys. This is how it's done. And I just want to say that this is actually pretty clean. I've been hearing for a while that the Brembo RCS 19 is awesome on a bagger, which it really is, guys. I want to just tell you from from experience now, this master cylinder makes it world of difference. There you go. Brake light functions. The master cylinder functions real well. Stock brake line, stock calipers. So we did it. There we go. Now the last thing I'm going to add, and I'm going to cut the camera here for a minute, but I want to add my Oh, that's why I cut the camera. So, a tip, guys, pro tip. Let's use these two pieces of wire. Pro tip. When you're trying to solder two wires in the middle of the air that need to go together, and there's nothing to hold, say, this end of it, it's going to want to fall. If you guys happen to have a coat hanger and two alligator clips, that's where this came from. This is the top part of the coat hanger, and these are just two alligator clips. Now, I soldered them on at one time. I did break them loose so that I could move them. But what that does, guys, let me show you. No matter where you're at in the world, you could be underwater, you could be anywhere. As long as that holds, that's how you hold your wires together. Right there. Done deal. Then you can solder those together. It could be hanging from a handlebar. You could do it in between here. You could do it there. We could do it over there. We could do it anywhere we want. We could do it in the woods. We could do it in your car. You could do it at your mama's house. Anyways, just a tip, guys. Coat hanger, two alligator clips. Costs about $2.99, $3.99. Just smash the alligator clips onto the coat hanger. Works just fine. Why buy a magnetic deal when you could just make one? Pro tip of the day. Here we are out in the wild using this brake, and I just want to say that it is absolutely amazing, just as it was and is on a crotch rocket or a metric motorcycle. So I hope you guys like my little tiny my little tiny reservoir and this ugly bracket. I hope you guys really enjoy that. That's all going to change. I've got a new one of these. Hopefully it will be here today. It's going to be plastic. It's going to be a white plastic, unfortunately, unless I decide to stick with this tiny one, but it's a little bit smaller than what I was hoping for. So those of you that were wondering about my tires being balanced, I think I covered that already. I don't necessarily ride my tires long enough, nor do I care if I have a tiny amount of hop, which I'm not going to notice on these roads. I'm not going to notice on the roads I typically ride on. If I did happen to notice adverse handling or an obnoxious, what we would call a gallop or a hop or a knock in my wheels, then at that point, yes, I would consider it, obviously. And if I was at a motorcycle shop, like if I was in a shop and I had a balancer readily available, of course I'm going to balance it. It's just habit. Then we do it. But considering I'm at home and it's for my own personal bike and I'm not too concerned with it, I choose not to do it. So for those of you that want to hate on me, please do. Leave it in the comments below. Well, I appreciate you. I just want to say, guys, that the Brembo RCS 19 is effortless. I know you guys can't see this, but this is an effortless, very smooth pull. It has really good feedback. I have good control over my braking. I don't have to put a lot of force into it. It's predictably smooth, controllable. All the things you want in a brake, it has.
So today we're at one of my favorite local places. It's called Yellow Dog Eats. There's actually two of them. There's one in New Smyrna and this one is in Gotha. It's a very cozy, eclectic vibe, excellent food. It's known for their barbecue and their sandwiches. You can get beer and wine here too. We're just having sodas. I've got a turkey sandwich and you've got a pulled pork sandwich. It looks delicious. Today was a really exciting day. We finished up some photos for a t-shirt collab, which comes out Friday. I'm so excited. Are you excited about it?
I am super excited. I am not excited about this background noise whatsoever.
Because he has to edit it out.
It'll be fun.
Anyway, what else is new? You just got back from traveling. You learned some stuff over at Thunderbacks.
I did. I spent a few days there at Thunderbacks in White House, Tennessee. That was nice to be there. We had actually been on the east side.
Yeah, we just got back from the Grom Ventures. That was on the small bore rally. And
I visited Middle Tennessee for a couple days.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to that.
Without you. And then from there, I went up to Menominee, Wisconsin, the greater St. Paul area.
Mana do 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 do. Mana do 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 do. Mana do 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 do. If anybody remembers the Muppets. Anyway, I wish I could have gone to that too, but you know, someone's got to work to pay them bills.
Anyway, that is what I'm doing.
It's going to make for some great content. We've got some really exciting news with all of that, so stay tuned. I'm going to chow down. You have anything to add?
No. I really don't.
This beer cheese soup that I got is my absolute favorite, but it is heavy on like the onion and garlic. So if you plan on making out afterwards, just keep that in mind.
You know, I did have something to add.
Oh, what's that?
Did you know that Gotha was founded in 1879?
No, is there a sign that says that somewhere?
All right, Uncle Google.
Oh, you Googled it?
No, actually, it's right there.
Oh. Yeah. He's so smart.
I are so smart.
SMRT. Smart.
I am. I spelled something.
Time to stuff my face.
Yes, dude. All right, guys, that about wraps it up for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's content. As always, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay upside, and we'll see you on the flip.